What is going on, everyone? Juan Carlos Barreneche here, founder of Goldbar, and on today's luxury real estate podcast, we have the one and only Aaron Kirman. Aaron, what is going on?
I am here at your event, which has been absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much.
You crushed it.
But we're here in New York City. We're both running on 3 hours of sleep. Yesterday was just complete madness. 1,100 people, Times Square, billboards, lights, everything. And Aaron, you just crushed it on stage.
Oh, I thought you crushed it. I was like to put on a production that you put on was amazing. The energy, the personalities, the people. You should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you. So I really appreciate it. So let's just kind of kick off and give the listeners a little preview of what you did on stage. We started off with you talking about your $141 million sale, or you completely just changed the way that people market luxury real estate and just went out there and got clients. Go ahead and give everyone a little background in terms of how you got started and where you're at the moment.
Yeah. So my history, you want to go back to that?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, I grew up in a different world. I was not part of the wealthy, world that we live in today. Mom was a school teacher, dad was a trucker, had dyslexia, had real difficulties reading, writing, couldn't talk. I couldn't say the letter R, actually. And I have 2 R's in my name, which was never fun in high school or in elementary school when I had to introduce myself. But we persevered and we fought, and there was always one thing I loved in my life, and that was real estate. From the day I was like a kid. I remember when I was 6, 7, 8, I used to ride my BMX bike to all these big houses, mansions, and if I thought that they were empty, I would hop the fence and I would go in them, and I would just either pretend to know that I would want to sell them or I would live in them one day. And I think through manifestation, we landed here.
It all became a reality. And you got your license at 18, right?
I got my license at 18. But I was working in real estate before that, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started at 16 as an intern. And I, funny enough, I got fired from my first intern position in real estate.
No kidding.
And
they're probably regretting that decision now, right?
The guy to this day is in real estate. He's been in real estate forever and a day.
Yeah.
He always says I was the biggest worst case fire he's ever had.
Worst mistake ever.
Worst mistake ever, because he fired me for dropping mail or something, and next thing I know, a couple of years later, we are where we are.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And now, in regards to the beginning of your career, how did you get your start? Was it working rentals? Did you just take on anything you could? Like how did that go?
Yeah, I started like everyone else. I had to start at the bottom and work my way up. So I grew up in probably not the most expensive part of the world, and that's where I started selling. And we started selling $200,000 houses. And I remember my first listing. I picked a mentor who specialized in that area, and he had given me the opportunity to partner with him on it. And it was amazing because I had my first listing, and I'll never forget. I had to show it with my mom on a Saturday, and my mom was in the car, and she goes, I had never seen you shine like when I saw you show that house for the first time.
I love that. Yeah.
She was like, you were such a natural. You knew all the answers, all the questions, and when you didn't, you just were really honest. And you
it was like you found your calling.
It was like I found my calling. Yeah.
I love that.
And all those people bought a house. So I sold their house. They bought one, and I'll never forget. At the same time, I got my second listing, and I had 2 houses on one page, and I remember thinking, God, if I could only have 4. And I was like, and my goal was just to have 4 houses on one page to advertise, because back then we did a lot of print advertising. And I was like, I'm going to get to 4. And that was my goal.
Yeah.
And then when I got to 4, I was like, it would be really wonderful to have 2-page spread with my name on it and have 8s. And so my goal was never like, oh, I want to make this much money or I want to sell this. It was very simple. I was like, I want 8 houses on a page.
It was growth. It was progress.
That's it.
I love that. And if you
it was very
forward,
simple. It was very simple.
But if you fast forward to today, now it's like a whole different thing. You're selling $30, $40, $50 million mansions on the regular. What's that like in terms of where do you meet these people? How do you find the clientele that own these properties?
Yeah. Well, I'm really, really, really grateful because they find me. 90% of the time, I get calls from people that are selling the most expensive homes in the world. And that wasn't always the case.
Yeah.
I had to grind like everybody else. But today, through marketing, advertising, infrastructure, hard work, and just doing the grind, I built a brand. And when you have a brand and when people know that you specialize in something, they call.
I love that. Yeah.
And so if you look at the homes that are, and these are homes are anywhere between 30 million and they could go up to 200.
Correct.
I have the same competitors over and over and over again.
So is it a very small world once you get to the top?
Very small world. And you know the same people, right?
Yeah.
In LA, I probably have 6 competitors.
Okay.
In Miami, I know the same 5 people that specialize in that.
Yeah.
In New York, there's probably even less. There's probably
Yeah.
like 4 people that specialize in that.
Correct.
So in the entire, and in London, let's say there's 2. So in the entire globe, let's call it the mega broker that's selling, billions of dollars in property, there's 11.
So let's talk this. So we have 1% of the 1% of the 1% are selling and making over $1 million a year in gross commissions. Then we have those rare brokers that are crushing it, doing 1 to 5 million, and then $10 million plus GCI. It's like how many people do you think is actually like worldwide
Doing 10 million plus?
Yeah.
Probably 10.
Crazy.
Maybe 10. And by the way, even then,
Yeah.
like if you look at those people, those people should be making 20.
Yeah.
But with the way the world works, commission issues,
Yeah.
Partnerships and everything else, it's really half of what people should be making, even then at the top of the top.
Now, what happens when you get to that point? Is it a matter of you continuing to refine your brand? How do you make yourself stand out when you're at the peak of the mountain?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at anybody who's successful people are always, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, fear of loss is what always drives me. I'm like, God, I don't want to have a bad year. I don't want my numbers to sink. I don't want to lose to I'm very competitive in a good way. Like, I love competition. I think competition is the best thing ever. Like, I love competing because it only makes you better.
Correct.
And so I embrace it. I love it. I love watching what other people are doing. And I always try to rewrite the book. How can I do it bigger? How can I do it better? And how can I do it different? And I think part of the challenge of real estate agents is,
hey, Goldbar Nation, real quick, if you're a real estate agent stuck making between $0 to $100,000 per year and want to grow to more than $500,000 a year in gross commissions, all while still actually having a life, we'd love for you to check out our platform at goldbarcoaching.com, where we're helping hundreds of agents do the same. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, please remember to leave us a review and share it with friends. That's all. Let's get back to the podcast.
agents often just follow the path of what should be.
Correct.
This is what's top, the postcards, the mailers, the door knocking. But really, we're in an industry that's the most creative industry in the world. And it's the height of entrepreneurship.
Correct.
And those that are successful are the ones that are always looking to expand, to grow, to do it different. And so if you look at those, and I'm just going to use the mega brokers as an example.
Yeah.
They're always building a technology, launching a book,
Something new. Yeah.
making something new, changing the way we do it. And that's how ultimate success happens. And I always say, you don't have to be at the top to do that.
Yeah.
You could be at any stage of the game, and if you figure out how to rewrite, how to work something new, how to create, that's how magic happens.
So the perfect word would be innovation.
Innovation,
I love
correct.
it.
And,
I love it.
And I always say, and this is like one of my favorite lines, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so for me, every year, I'm like, what is growth? And sometimes it doesn't mean you're doubling your numbers, because some years it's impossible. Like
Correct.
we had a horrible, as an industry, 2023, and I think it's as years
Which
go on.
for you, was it a record-breaking year or?
It wasn't a record-breaking year, but
Okay.
I did 1.8 billion myself.
So what? Oh my! So what is a record-breaking year if that's like
The year before I hit 2 billion.
$2 billion?
Yeah.
Has that ever been done before?
For me?
For as an individual, like team or an agent, like
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, numbers start to become arbitrary too, because you never know how people are qualifying the
Got it.
numbers.
Okay, yeah.
So, some teams are bigger than others. But point of the story is, what I had to work on myself as a human is not to judge myself based on how much money I'm making or how much I'm selling every year.
Correct.
Because sometimes the world works against you. And like in 2023, it wasn't the market to break.
correct.
It was the market to sustain.
And in a way, you could have actually have had more impact in 2023, regardless of the volume and all of that stuff. So
Yeah, well,
absolutely,
what we had to do
Yeah.
was we had to rewrite how we work. So in 2022, the market was so easy.
Yeah.
It was a flow, and we didn't really have to work as hard. In 2023, all of a sudden, sellers were unhappy, buyers were unhappy. Sellers couldn't afford to sell because interest rates were, already too low, so they're not going to give up their low interest rates. Buyers, like, why am I going to jump in at 7 and 8%?
Yeah.
They didn't want to buy. So I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because we can't do what we did in 2023.
100%.
And I landed on, as weird as it sounds, the phone was magic. Like, I had to pick up that phone and I had to explain to sellers why maybe it could make sense, and to buyers why maybe it could make sense.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of education, but it worked.
It worked. Yeah,
worked.
I love it. And now, what would be your advice to someone who wants to break into luxury? Maybe they're in real estate already. Maybe they just got their license, but they aspire to be on a level where they could sell $5-10 million homes. What would you tell them?
Yeah, people don't like this answer, but I believe in it, and it's the truth. If you haven't, and I tell my agents this every day, if you haven't sold a $5 million house today, odds are you're not going to sell it tomorrow unless you have a portfolio. So how do you get a portfolio? There's only really one way. Find a mentor, find a partner, find somebody who's in luxury. Work with them. Even if you have to intern for them for free for 6 months, get through the door of that person.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to learn it, understand it, be part of it, live the world, talk the talk, and eventually you're going to walk the walk. And once you get your first $5 million listing, you'll get your second, you'll get your third, and you'll get 20 after that. I have agents that worked with me, and I'm so proud of them. They couldn't get a $2 million listing.
Yeah.
They are now getting $35 to $40 million listings by themselves without me.
Yeah.
And I see that they're in my brokerage.
Yeah.
They're getting them nonstop. But I remember the days they didn't have 2 million and 3 million, so they had to take me. They took me on the 3, they took me on the 6, they took me on the 10.
So you're like the Mr. Miyagi of ultra luxury real estate.
I mean, I would never call myself that. He was the genius. I'm just a worker. But yeah.
But that's incredible. And you're taking these people, do they have any background? This is people that are just getting into this, and like you're basically remolding their perspective and their education, and you're turning them into these $10-20 million per year producers?
Well, it's like, it's really a win-win, right?
Yeah.
So what we do is we teach them how to lead gen.
Okay.
But we know that they're not going to be able to seal the deal.
Okay.
Without having a brand and name, because they have to grow it.
Correct.
So with the right lead gen, anybody could get to anybody today.
Yeah.
And then they bring me in. So it becomes
you're the closer.
It becomes a win-win.
Correct.
They learn how to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And get rejection and denied until, for every 100 calls, you're going to maybe land on 1 to 2.
Yeah.
So you really have to build that tough skin. But eventually, if they machine it out,
Correct.
I don't believe that they'll close until they build a portfolio. But once they build a portfolio, they're going to close.
Now they have their own credibility, and now they can go out and do it on their own.
And so our goal, I have 2 jobs, right?
Yeah.
I sell real estate still because that's my passion and I love it. But I also own a brokerage, and so we have to build that brokerage. And we do that 2 ways. We build top talent.
Yeah.
And we acquire top talent.
You acquire.
But when I opened, I had a team, and this goes back before the mega team existed. That wasn't a thing. I built it. There was one other person that had a mega team at the time. Mm-hmm. And I remember I called all these people. They're like, why would I want to join you? Because they didn't get it. There was no team at the time. And so what we did was we built agents, and we taught them how to do it. And all of a sudden, our team was #1 in the nation.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was because we helped people grow.
I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right there. That was, we're about to do a luxury workshop for the people here in New York City, but you just gave the formula. It's as simple as find someone who is absolutely crushing it in what you want to do, whether it's selling 5, 10, or even $30 million homes. Go out there and lead generate to find them the actual business, and then have them educate you, mentor you, and actually close the deal until the point where you actually build your own portfolio, and then you have the confidence to do it on your own.
Exactly.
That's the blueprint.
And I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
You launched me on the one, which was one of the most expensive houses.
Yes.
What people don't realize is I got hired and fired from that listing 2 times before it launched. No joke. There was a drama. There was a story behind it, right? And
that's for podcast number 2.
It does podcast, but perseverance.
Yeah.
And just sticking with it, and knowing that you're going to land where you need to land as long as you work hard.
Yeah.
Is always the right approach.
Amazing. Aaron, you've been absolutely incredible. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to just connect with you and share this moment with you. How can people find you? How can people reach out to you if they want to work with you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Instagram's great. Aaron Kirman, my name. And beyond that, email's always great. Aaron@aaronkirman.com. I'm super easy, and we go from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron. Great to have you. For everyone listening, we'd love to go ahead and have you subscribe. And we're looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Signing up. Have a great day.